Hello students, welcome to another session of Daily News Analysis. Today we are here with you to discuss 5 important and relevant topics for UPSC preparation. We have 4 topics in the explain section and 1 in the decoded section. In explain section we have the news about SC uplifts firecracker ban. Next we will be seeing balancing lives with conservation. Then we have a discussion of critical minerals, and then the municipal fiscal architecture. In the main section, the decoded one, we have All India Judicial Services and how it can help in promoting gender equality in judiciary. So, coming to the first discussion of the day, Firecracker Ban Upliftment. Recently, Supreme Court eased its ban on firecrackers. Okay, so it has been happening for a while now. If you see the timeline, okay, it started in 2015. So what happened was that in 2015, 3 infants approached the court, okay, saying how the air pollution problem in the nation is detrimental to their health and it is against their fundamental right to the life protected under Article 21. Okay, so Supreme Court banned the firecrackers in Diwali and started from there. So we first see the news what happened currently. Okay, the recent ruling on firecrackers by Supreme Court in India relaxed the absolute ban on firecrackers in Delhi NCR region, allowing for the sale and bursting of government approved or green crackers. Okay, we will see what are these green firecrackers. Okay, next, sale of green crackers approved by NEERI. Okay, it has been developed by CSIR NEERI. Okay, National Environment and Engineering Research Institute. Okay, is permitted only from designated sale points between October 18 and October 20th. Use of firecrackers is restricted to 2 time slots, 6 AM to 7 AM and 8 PM to 10 PM. Okay, on the day before Diwali and the day of the Diwali itself. So it's for 2 days and on 2 time slots per day. Next, we have this decision balances festive traditions, livelihood concerns of the firecracker industry and public health. Okay. Next, the court noted that despite previous bans, okay, conventional firecrackers were still being smuggled into NCR, causing more harm than green crackers. Yes, that is a problem, and even this judgment, okay, is being criticized for being it too near Diwali. Like Diwali is on 20th. Okay, we have 3 to 4 days. Even people who want to sell these crackers will not be able to source them in such a short notice, and the people who even want to buy it, okay, would find it very difficult to procure these. Next, if we see the timeline, how this ban has started. So we talked about the Arjun Gopal case. Okay, how on the petition of infants, Supreme Court sought protection from ban the firecrackers during Diwali. Next, in 2017, okay, it was temporary ban in Delhi NCR region, prohibited sale before Diwali. So in the 2015 case, it was not specific to Diwali. Okay, and this judgment came well in advance of Diwali. But in 2017, this judgment came just before Diwali. So that, like what happened this year. Okay, that is a problem. The problem here is that Supreme Court always sits on the judgment of if to allow firecrackers or not in the month of Diwali or in a week before Diwali. But the timeline of the procurement season starts 6 months ago. Okay, the firecracker traders go to Sivakasi. Sivakasi is a district in Tamil Nadu which is a hub of firecrackers. So the traders of Delhi, Chandigarh and other cities go to Sivakasi to place their orders 6 months in advance. So if we ban or unban it before a week, okay, they will not be able to procure it or sell it. That is one issue here. In 2018, what happened was court allowed green firecrackers. Okay, first regulated relaxation. Okay, so what happened was that around that time, okay, government had in earlier judgments also government had asked research agencies to help with this problem. So, by 2018, NEERI had developed this idea of green firecrackers. Okay. So, in 2018, court said, okay, you can burn firecrackers, but only the NEERI ones. Okay, these are green firecrackers, and you can identify that with a they have specific barcodes on the firecrackers, so that you can identify the authenticity. Okay. Next, in 2020, what happened was COVID-driven total ban. Okay. So, now the issue was public health protection. Court said that because anyway COVID was a respiratory ailment. Okay. So, these things were very active. Okay, very significant in that time. So, court came down again heavily on firecrackers and said no firecrackers will be allowed. Okay. This was continued in 2024 judgment, where it cited the poor air quality in the Delhi NCR region. Okay. So, firecrackers were cited as a major cause in the immediate pollution. Okay. And things did not help, that around the same time that Diwali rolled in, the winters also rolled in. So, the problem of smog, the problem of say stubble burning, all came in that time, and this aggravated the problem, and firecrackers were the easy and very visible target of this. So, government, the court in its activism, okay, ban firecrackers. So, this year in 2025, a petition was made, like why to ban it. Okay, and Supreme Court reviewed it and said, okay, let's allow it this year and see what are the impacts. If in this limited time slots, if burning these in limited time slots does not increase the pollution, we can continue using it. Okay, but one problem which the court needs to address or should have addressed was the affordability and availability of firecrackers. Because of the short timeline, the traders will not be able to procure green firecrackers and sell them. So, that is the problem with availability. And then there is case of affordability. The green firecrackers, because they use new technology, okay, are slightly expensive than the normal ones. Okay, and there is no subsidy as well to bring down the cost and make it more popular. Okay, so that is the problem. So, we see what are green firecrackers. Okay, so green firecrackers are a new category of fireworks designed to reduce air and noise pollution. Okay, it addresses both air and noise pollution. Okay, next, they do not contain harmful chemical substances like barium nitrate, potassium chlorate or sulfur. Okay, which are the major contributors to airborne pollutants and health hazards. Next, we have these crackers use alternative chemicals and reduce quantities of metals, lowering emissions of particulate matter and toxic gases by 30 to 40%. And there are three types were developed. Okay, one was SWAS, safe water releaser. Okay, so one idea that the researchers came up for reducing the pollution was that the firecrackers were so designed that they released water vapor with it, and this water vapor used to capture the pollutants. So, that was one innovative idea. Then we have SUFFLE, safe minimal aluminum. Okay, rather than harmful substances like barium, potassium, aluminum was used. Okay. Next, we have STAR, safe thermite cracker, each developed to target specific emission reduction mechanisms. Okay. So, next you have a question on green crackers. Okay, attempt this question and give the answer in the comments. Coming to our next article, we have wildlife protection. Okay, balancing lives and conservation. The backdrop of it comes from Kerala amends wildlife protection law. It is under GS 3. Okay, because wildlife in our environment comes under GS 3 portion. So, what happened is that Kerala Assembly in October 2025 recently passed an amendment, Wildlife Protection Kerala Amendment 2025, okay, wherein the most important provision here is that it grants the chief wildlife officer the authority to grants the chief wildlife officer authority to order immediate actions such as shooting, tranquilizing, capturing, translocating wild animals that attack humans or stray into public places. So what happens was that because it's a Wildlife Protection Act is a national act, okay, and it comes under the concurrent list. So both states and union government can legislate on it. So now the situation is that if there is a immediate need, say a man-eater tiger is roaming around, okay, the state government's forest department cannot kill it, okay, because it comes under schedule 1. For example, we are talking about a man-eater tiger, okay, man-eater tiger, state government forest department cannot kill it. It will have to seek permission from National Board of Wildlife, which will grant permission to kill it because a tiger comes under schedule 1. So this amendment gives power to chief wildlife warden, okay, a state government officer, to make that decision if some animal needs to be put down, okay, and if they are intervening, if they are straying into public spaces, okay, residential areas, what needs to be done. Okay, it empowers the state government to declare any wild animal listed under schedule 2 of Central Act as vermin. Okay, vermin means a harmful animal, okay, for limited periods, allowing controlled management of animals like certain reptiles and small carnivores to reduce damage or threats. Okay. Next we have also proposed shifting species like bonnet macaque. This is bonnet macaque and you should know it because it's specifically mentioned in the article, and it opens up the possibility of this particular species being asked in UPSC, because UPSC has been asking species for every year. Every in the prelims there is at least one or two questions where the knowledge about a particular species is very important. Okay. Besides immediate lethal or non-lethal control, it allows population management via birth control or relocating without killing. So it does not just give power to chief wildlife officers issuing the order to kill, but it also can take other measures. Okay. Another amendment in the same flow was made on wood. What happened? Timber. Okay. I mean, relaxes restrictions on cutting sandalwood trees on private lands. Okay. So we all know sandalwood smuggling is a very big industry. Okay. We have seen movies about it, and the movies has been making a lot of money based around sandalwood smuggling. Okay. And the notorious smuggler Veerappan was also engaged in this trade. Okay. So the idea is to decriminalize it and decontrol it. So what happens is that if you put a lot of restrictions, controls, regulations around a particular thing, okay, it mostly goes underground. Okay. So if you relax it, then people will come out and register things. Okay. Like here it talks about how cutting like currently it's under heavy protection, sandalwood. Even to cut your own sandalwood plantation, you will have to take permission from local authorities. Okay. So this amendment tries to dilute it a little bit to ensure ease of doing business here. Okay. And to sell them, proceeds given to the owner, aiming to ease economic opportunities while regulating sandalwood harvesting to prevent illegal logging. See, if someone, say for example, you are a person who has a big tract of land where your grandfather had planted a number of sandalwood trees. So across years it has grown into you have good number of trees, but because of state regulations you cannot control it, you cannot cut it down. Okay. So you will try to find some loophole. Okay. And it can even be stolen. Okay. So if the government is allowing you to cut, you can harvest it. Okay. And with the proceeds you can do a second cycle of sandalwood plantation. Okay. A small change also it has done is that it reclassifies forest personnel from renaming them from watcher to forest beat assistant. Okay, it gives them a more formal title. Okay, though still they don't have the power to arrest people. Okay, so we see what are the controversies. These are two changes. First, the central wildlife officer, this one, chief wildlife warden, okay, was given power to issue order to kill animal engaged in human animal conflict. Okay, and then the ease of the sandalwood regulations. Okay, so what are the contextual controversies here? Amendment was motivated by residents in, see, one reason for doing this was increase in the case of human wildlife conflicts. Okay, in the next slide we will see the data and you will see how this has become a problem. Okay, bills sparked resistance from environmentalists and activists, and some who argue that amendment weaken long-standing protective mechanisms, limit judicial oversight, and may erode ecological safeguards for short-term administrative convenience and all political gains. Okay, yes, any dilution of hard-won victories in environmental protection is frowned upon. Okay, is resisted by the activists. Okay, the bill still requires the assent of the president because they want to amend the central law. As I said, it is a concurrent list, and any change by the state will have to be ratified by the union government. Okay. So let's see about what are the issues with human animal conflict. Okay, and why this particular state has decided to move on it, decided to take a decision on it. Okay, there have been approximately 1,727 human deaths caused by wildlife encounters in Kerala over last 15 years. Between last 15 years, 2010, between 2010 2025, 1,527 people have been killed. So around 100 each year. Okay, which is a lot. Okay, next, of these, snake bites account for 75% of deaths, while elephant attacks cause 276 deaths, wild pigs 63, and tigers 11, and gores 17. Okay, so there can be a question in a UPSC, like in these human animal conflicts, okay, which animal caused the most number of deaths? Okay, so that award will go to the snake. Okay, it is accounting for 75% of deaths. Okay, from 21 to 25 alone, elephant attacks killed 103 people. Okay, just the elephant attacks killed 100 people in 5 years. Okay, and tigers killed 4. So we see the severity of the issue, and this is just about the animal. This is just the cost of life. We are not even counting the monetary costs, like elephants running wild and destroying entire crops. Okay, so that is a very big loss, economic loss. Okay, so this was specifically about Kerala. So we should also see at the national figures what is happening at the national level. Okay, between 2019 2024, India recorded 22,727 human deaths due to elephant attacks and 349 due to tiger attacks. So this is specifically to elephant deaths are 2727, tiger deaths are 349. Okay. Rising cases of electrocution, train hits, and poisoning also cause animal fatalities, affecting forest ecosystem balance. Okay, so this human animal conflict, we cannot put the blame on the animals here. Okay, because we are the one who are clearing forests and habiting in their areas. Okay, like we make villages and encroach on elephant corridors, and then when the elephants roam around our villages, we complain. Okay, and we call it human animal conflicts, and animals and elephants are chased, shot at, and electrocuted. Okay, so wildlife conflict is increasing due to habitat loss. Yes, deforestation, we are cutting down forest. Where will the animals go? Okay. Developmental pressure, climate change, and fragmented landscapes. Okay. So when we come to human animal conflict, okay, one major contributor of that is sadly the Indian Railways. Why? Because Indian Railways has thousands of kilometers of tracks, and those mostly at times go through dense forests where they lead to animals crossing those paths, like we see this happy animal crossing a railway track, but sadly a train can come from here, okay, and cause danger to their life. Okay, so we have a few numbers. Okay, at least 186 elephants have been killed. See, earlier we had the data about number of humans killed, and here the number of elephants killed. So I would say this is a more serious data, because these conflicts are caused by humans, okay, and animals are just victims here. Okay, 186 elephants have been killed due to train collisions between 2009 and 2024. Okay, in 15 years across various states. Okay, next, between 2019 and 24, 81 elephant death train accidents reported by state governments to the Ministry of MOEF. Okay, Ministry of Environment and Forestry also collects some data. Its data says 81 elephants have been killed. Okay, next, from 2017 to 21, over 63,000 animals, including 73 elephants and 4 Asiatic lions, died on railway tracks, as per CAG. So we see a lot of institutions are looking into it. We have a data from railways, we have a data from MOEF, we have a data from CAG. Okay, rising number of accidents in elephant corridors have prompted targeted mitigation efforts across 77 railway stretches and 14 states. See, so these numbers were not lost on the railways, and they did start to take it seriously and started to take some actions. We will see in the next slide what exactly are the things which railway has done. Okay, so these numbers get reported more about elephants and tigers because it's more sensational, more newsworthy, but thousands of other animals like cattle and wild species also die. Okay, like from 26 to 19, over 35,000 animals were killed in train accidents. Okay, so we will say a lot of animals are getting killed because of trains. Okay, and railway should look into it, and I will be glad to announce that it did look into it and brought in some new features, some technology to decrease that, to bring that number down. Okay, what are the measures? Was AI enabled intrusion detection system, or Gajraj. It was specifically for animals. Okay, so it has it is some device they have made and placed around tracks. Okay, it monitors the tracks. Okay, and with audio and video tracking, monitoring, it reports whenever there is a elephant crossing, herds of elephant are crossing. It sends that data, okay, to the local authorities and local railway nodal points, okay, and they slow down the train. Okay, AI based surveillance cameras have been put up in active elephant corridors. Next, we have physical infrastructure and track modifications. Yes, sometimes ramps have been provided for elephants and underpasses as well. Okay, honeybee buzzer devices. So what happens here is that elephants don't like bees like us. We also don't like bees unless if they are attacking us. We like honey as well. We like honey, but we don't like bees stinging us. So do elephants. Okay, so what we have done is we have made some machines, okay, which emit the voice of bees humming around, and as elephant listens to it, okay, hears it, they see they think it's a bee colony, okay, and they chase, they leave the place, okay, they move in another direction. So that's a good thing, good deterrence. Okay, thermal vision cameras. Yes, this is also being tried, okay, in some stretches in Assam, okay, Kaziranga, where there is a very active animal corridor or elephant corridor. Okay, coordination mechanisms, coordination with local forest department. Okay, forest departments have data and know the exact elephant corridors for animal, and there's periods of activity, like what are the time they are more active. Okay, so they can relay this data to railways, and railway can plan accordingly. Like if the forest department says across next 2 days a lot of animals are going to cross, okay, then the railway authorities can slow down the speed of train in that particular stretch. so that if there is a spotting of an animal, they can prevent the accident. Okay. So and these steps are giving some result. Okay. AI powered system has recorded thousands of safe elephant crossings. Okay. Notably in Tamil Nadu, where 6,592 safe crossings were logged with 0 deaths since November 23. So it's a very good sign. So we saw what Kerala was doing. We saw some numbers on human animal conflict. We saw how railway is a very big player. Okay, it is causing a lot of mayhem in the animal community. Okay, and then what is railway doing to bring that number down? So this is a question on human animal conflict. Attempt this question, provide the answer in the comments below. Next, we have a discussion on critical minerals. Okay, what are those? The backdrop is importance of critical minerals, and it's relevant to GS3. Okay, GS3 economy. Okay, so India's strategic response. How is India dealing with the problem of critical minerals? So this is a crucial problem, because elements like lithium and all have become very important. Okay, in 3 dimensions. Okay, 3 areas. One, it has economic significance, it has technological significance, and it has geopolitical significance. Okay, economic, because a lot of government schemes and industries currently will be based on these elements. Okay, so India needs them. Then there is a issue of technology, because we have to mine them. India has shown some promising deposits. Okay, but we have to see if we can mine them in a commercially viable manner. Okay, and then there is a issue of geopolitics involved, because China has cornered this market. Okay, China is source to around 60% of the rare earth or critical mineral deposits, and has monopolized processing most of it by having 85% of the processing. Okay, and China is using that. China is not afraid to use this as a bargaining chip, as recently it was engaged in a tug of war with US, and recently it said we will not give you critical minerals. Okay, and it urged Americans naturally. Okay, so we see what is India doing in that, and then we see what are exactly these critical minerals. Okay, so first, National Critical Mineral Mission, NCMM. Okay, so this scheme is very important. Okay, you can easily make up 5, 10 questions in this scheme. Like specific points are very what do you say? You can fall in this trap. Like this is a scheme. This is a 7-year program. Okay, not a 5, not a 10. Specifically 7 years, and the time is 24 to 31. Okay, with a budget of 16,300 crores. And projected investment of 18,000 crore. Like government will put in 16,300 and private players might put in 18,000 more. Okay, what is the goal? It aims to secure sustainable domestic production and global supply chains of 30 critical minerals, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, rare earth elements. Okay, titanium, gallium. We'll see what are the critical earth elements. Okay, it focuses on mineral exploration, extraction, processing, recycling, technological innovation, and value addition. So a whole gamut of activities related to critical minerals, like discovering them, mining them, processing them, developing them, and using them. Okay, so domestic exploration and mining expansion. Okay, so it targets to identify 1,200 critical mineral deposits by 2030. So it will be difficult to like you cannot say that I will identify these many sites. Okay, because those sites, the deposits will have to be there. But yes, it's a ambitious goal, I would say. Like at least it will lead to 12,000 projects, 1,200 places. GIS is working on it. Okay, GSI, Geological Survey of India, will have to explore 1,200 places to see if it has a good amount of deposits or not. Okay, GIS has already conducted 195 mineral exploration projects. Okay, in fiscal year 2025. In last year 24-25, Okay, it conducted 195 already, and it targets 1200 by 2030, which is a very good thing. Okay, we can see like they won't be selecting places randomly. Is गांव में चल रहे हैं, they'll throw a dart and go there. No, they will have a survey of from satellites regarding deposits, and then they will shortlist 1200 most probable places, and there they will look for it. And let's see, we should find, even if we find 10-20% of the locations, it will be a very good number for us. Okay, and then it plans to auction 100 mineral blocks by 2031. Okay, including lithium reserves in Jammu and Kashmir and cobalt in Andhra Pradesh. So Jammu and Kashmir recently found lithium deposits. Okay, so we'll see next. Critical minerals and recycling initiatives. See, because critical minerals are so important, as I said, economic, technological and geopolitical, whatever we have, we cannot allow it to be wasted. Okay, so what we will do is we will have recycling plants so that these precious elements, okay, are not wasted, do not end up in garbage mountains. Okay, 1500 crore initiative incentive scheme launched to enhance recycling capacity, recovering 40 kilotons annually and building a circular economy addressing e-waste and battery waste. Like this is e-waste is a major issue with now everything going for EV. Like yes, people using computers and laptops, it caused a lot of e-waste, but now when they are starting to buy two-wheelers and four-wheelers which are EV, okay, this e-waste, the volume of e-waste will be going up significantly and drastically. So India needs to have a policy to recycle them so that it's not wasted. It aims to achieve 5% recycled content in all non-ferrous products by 2028, okay, reducing import dependence and creating 70,000 jobs. Yes, if we are able, if we know it is very important, we need that, and if we are able to recycle it, it will bring down our import volume and it will also create jobs because it will create a new industry. Next, custom duty exemptions. Yes, removal of custom duty on lithium ion battery scrap, cobalt, lead, zinc and other critical minerals waste. Okay, see, it ties down to the earlier point of recycling, where we will bring lithium battery scrap and e-waste into our country to process it, to get critical minerals out of it, which can then be used in other uses, in other industries. Okay. Geopolitical and economic context. Like I was saying, India heavily depends on imports for lithium. Okay, 80% from Australia and Argentina. Okay, lithium deposits are concentrated in ABC, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. Okay, the north part of South America. Okay, that is a great that has a good concentration of lithium, and around 50-60% of lithium is found there. And next big deposits are Australia, and then there is China. Okay, and rare earth elements are refined mostly in China. So these areas have deposits, but the refining capacity, refining technology and refining infrastructure has been developed in China. So China gets the minerals from everywhere, refines here. Okay, we have also started it. We are also planning to have a lithium refining plant in Gujarat. Okay, the work is going on there. Okay, shift in global supply chain due to geopolitical tensions, US-China rivalry, Indonesia, Chile export restriction, and the India's push for self-reliance. Yes, we need self-reliance because we cannot trust on the global free market trade, which has fueled the global economic prosperity in the last 2 decades. Okay, because fractures have been coming in this shared global idea, shared global order. Okay, India is participating in international collaboration like Quad Critical Minerals Initiative. Okay, to diversify sources, strengthen cooperation. Okay, next, policy and industrial push. Okay, government's emphasis on EV adoption, renewable capacity targets, okay, and defense modernization reinforces urgency for critical minerals. Yes, India's goal, government's goal of promoting EV. Okay, and then in renewable energy we have solar plants and wind turbines. Okay, both use a lot of materials. Okay, and defense modernization like chips and all. even in technological advancement, we need these critical minerals. Okay. National Manufacturing Mission supports clean tech manufacturing involving batteries, solar cells, electric motors to build international value chains. So next, let's come to what are critical minerals. So you will see that critical minerals are at times interchangeably used with rare earth elements, but rare earth elements are a small group under critical elements, critical minerals. Okay. So who decides what is a critical mineral and what is not? So here their government has a body, okay, Center for Excellence for Critical Minerals. Okay. Okay, it periodically reviews and updates its list. Okay, so this list has been made by CECM. Okay, and you will find some surprising additions to this list. Okay, you need not memorize all these, but you should have an idea of what is here. Okay, we have copper. Okay, we have graphite. Okay, lithium, molybdenum, neodymium, nickel. Okay, and then we have silicon, tin, okay, titanium, tungsten. Okay, so these are the few elements which one might not, cobalt, which might not one might not think would have been in this list, but it is. Okay, so it is not rare earth elements, but it is critical minerals. So maybe the criteria is that it should be very critical, and India should have ensure its sourcing to for technological and economic development. So that might be the criteria. Okay, and this can be changed and updated. It will be periodically reviewed. These are elements. Okay, you might see in the news, it might come that few elements are added or subtracted. So keep an eye out for this particular organization wherever you hear this news. Okay, it can easily make up for the prelims question. Okay, like I am sure most of you would not have guessed that copper will be in this special list. Okay, because we see copper is a very common mineral. Okay, copper, silicon, nickel. Okay, but they are, so you should have an idea of all these elements. So next we see. So coming to the next slide, we have a list of critical elements and their applications. Okay, these type of questions have been coming in UPSC prelims for a while now. Okay, like what are the applications of nanotechnology? Okay, like so here you should know which industries exactly use these particular items. Okay, for you have a list, have a look on this list. Lithium is lithium battery for EV energy storage system. Cobalt, again batteries, superalloys, catalyst. RE, rare earth, used in permanent magnets, electronics, renewable energy devices. Okay, we have nickel, stainless steel, battery cathodes, aerospace. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of this and keep for your reference. It's a very important list, and any question can come out of it. Okay, like phosphorus, what are uses of phosphorus? Okay, so phosphorus is also a critical element, rare critical mineral. Okay, so we see its application. So take a screenshot of this particular slide. It's very important, and you can easily expect a one prelims question out of here. So this is one practice question regarding critical minerals. Try to attempt this in the and drop the answer in the comments. So next we come to our fourth topic, which is municipal fiscal architecture. So in this article, it is argued that when GST came, a lot of taxes were subsumed under GST. So many taxes like entry taxes, octroi taxes, so which contributed around 20-30% of the municipal body's revenue was subsumed under GST, but it was not replaced by anything. Okay, and GST says you cannot levy new taxes. Okay, so it was like the financial sources were cut for municipal bodies, and it is now dependent on the generosity of union and state governments. Okay, and it's a good thing that the 15th Finance Commission has said that around 4% of the devolvable share of taxes should go to local bodies. So This article talks about how the GST reforms has impacted municipalities and how municipal bonds can change it, and what are the issues with municipal bonds. So let's look at it. Okay, what are municipal bonds? Okay, these are debt securities issued by urban local bodies with permission of respective state governments to finance urban infrastructure. Like if the government can raise money from the market through bonds, that power has been extended to the third layer of government, which are the municipalities. Okay, so the municipalities can borrow money from the market for its work. Okay, history: first issued in Bengaluru in 1997. Okay, and it was just a side note in the market until it was revived after 2015. Okay, with SEBI regulations. Okay, so we have seen, we will see what has been happening after it. Since FY 2018, 23 municipal bodies have issued 17 ULBs, okay, raising 33,359 crores cumulatively, and in this particular year it is expected to get 1,500 to 22,000 crores. Okay, so who are the key issuers? The bigger municipalities, okay, have the benefit here, okay, have the upper hand here, because even you as a trader, as a active participant in the retail market, will like to bonds buy the municipal bonds of say BMC, okay, and Delhi Municipal Corporation, NDMC, not Delhi Municipal Corporation, rather than say of Faridabad or say some smaller city. Okay, so Agra, Prayagraj, Varanasi, Greater Chennai, PCMC, this Pipri Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, okay, Gandhinagar, okay, are key issuers, are raising money through this route. Okay, types of bond: private placement dominate, public issues gaining traction with retail investor participation. So earlier it was the idea that people, the retail investors, will not be interested in these bonds because of the risk involved. So the private placement was being done with institutional investors and banks, but now this bond option is also being opened up to retail investors. Okay, bond credit quality, okay, often rated at AA, AA and AA plus, okay, supported by structured security mechanism like escrow accounts and reserve funds. Okay, then government schemes, government initiatives like under Amrut 2.0, urban local body get 13 crore grant per 100 crore raised. Okay, additional incentives for green and pooled bonds. So what are the issues with bonds? Okay, so one problem this article highlighted was that the credit worthiness of a municipal bond is judged very in a very opaque way. Okay, one parameter they use is the money the municipal body is generating. Okay, so that can depend on a lot of factors. Okay, and one problem there is with the municipal bodies is that they are not able to raise taxes. Why? Because you can directly pinpoint the person who had decided to raise tax and then punish them. Okay, like what happens is that if the union government say raises a tax, okay, you won't be able to fix responsibility of a particular person and go after them. Okay, at best, if you are not happy with the finance ministry's work, maybe if Nirmala Sitharaman contests in the next election, they can vote against her. Okay, but in the local bodies, everyone knows who is leading it and they can directly retaliate against them. Okay, so no one wants to raise taxes, and so fiscally it is in soup at times. So weak credit profile, like even for us, even for the people who are not very active in who has never taken a loan or doesn't have a credit card, they don't have a CIBIL score, and someone who doesn't have a CIBIL score or has a very low CIBIL score finds it very difficult to raise money. Okay, get any credit card or get any loan from bank. So this happens with urban local bodies as well. If they have never gone to market, okay, so it will be very, very difficult for them to raise money. Then limited revenue base and poor tax compliance. Yes, as I said, the ease with which they can raise money depends on the revenue base that they have. Okay, a small and illiquid market, yes, there's a very small market. Very few institutional investors or retail investors would be interested in a municipal bond. Okay, high compliance and transaction cost, yes, because raising money is a very long process. Okay, in collaboration with SEBI. SEBI has a long list of guidelines has to follow. Okay, so the law, there is a very high compliance. Okay, lack of standardized financial reporting. So there is no central body to audit the municipalities. Next, investor awareness and trust. As I said, not many institutional investors or retail investors are much interested in getting these municipal bonds. Okay, regulatory bottlenecks. It follows this point. By SEBI. Okay. So solutions. Okay, improving urban local bodies fiscal financial health. So the government, like as I said, the 15th Finance Commission talks about, has decided that 4.5% of the pool resources, pool taxes will go to urban local bodies, which is a very good initiative, very good step. Next, building credit worthiness. So what can happen is that government can help build credit worthiness of these bonds by putting an escrow. For example, if say North Delhi Municipal Corporation wants to raise 500 crores, okay, so the government can back it. The state government or the union, like for Delhi it will be union government, can back it and say we will guarantee it, okay, and put the money in an escrow account. Okay, it will be reserve. Okay, it will not be giving money directly to NDMC, but it can put in the escrow account. Okay. Next, market development measures like promotion of bonds in retail market. Okay, simplifying procedures and reducing cost. So government will have to talk to SEBI about it, like how we can ease the process of raising money for the ULBs. Next, expanding government incentives. Like government, as we discussed early on, that government had taken a lot of financial powers from urban local bodies, so they should give them back commensurately. Okay. Next, standardization and transparency, yes, should be there to increase trust of people. Okay. Next, institutional support and capacity building, like RBI and SEBI, okay, should work together and train the municipal bodies employees to maintain their balance sheets well, promote transparency and make it a good investment destination. Okay. So this is a question around municipal bonds. So attempt this question and give the answer in the comments. So in the decoded section today we have an article on the road to gender equity in courts. So this particular article argues about the lack of gender equity in judiciary, specifically higher judiciary, and how All India Judicial Service can be a treatment to it, can be a solution. Okay, so we have two issues to discuss here. First is the gender equity, okay, and then we have a AIJS. So let's start. Okay, the relevance comes from GS2, okay, governance part. It can also come in GS1, the society part. Okay. So current status. What is the current status? The out of 34 judges of Supreme Court, only one, Justice Nagaratna, is currently a female judge here, and it's good that she is about to be the Chief Justice in a few months. But if because she won't have a very long tenure, so if by the end of her tenure we don't appoint any other female justice, okay, the Supreme Court will have a distinction of not having any women judge, which is not a great distinction for the Supreme Court of India. Okay, so Supreme Court should take this thing seriously, and in successive appointments, okay, appoint few women judges. So at best in 2023, at that time there were 3 judges. That is the maximum that has ever come in the Supreme Courts. In High Courts, the percentage is 14 to 50%, okay, and it is slowly increasing. Okay, in District and Subordinate Courts, it is around 30%. Okay, women judges constitute approximately 7,852 judges. Okay, represent about 30%. Okay, so these are the hierarchy. Okay, so it can also be seen that as we are going up, the percentage of women, the participation of women is coming down. Not a great sign. Okay. Okay. So what are the challenges? Okay. So one thing has been noted is that in legal field, in legal education, okay, say legal education, like pursuing LLB, the percentage of women is around 50. Okay, we saw in lower judiciary it's around 30, in High Court it's around 15%, and in Supreme Court it's around 3%. Okay, so we see it is coming down as the age, as the expertise increases. So what are the reasons for it? Okay, appointment process through a collegium lacks transparency and does not explicitly institutionalize gender and as a criterion. Okay, like in a collegium discussions, okay, gender is not a very primary criteria which is being discussed. So we can see, because the number of women is very few, had gender being a very primary concern, primary criteria, there would have been more women. Okay, next, women often face delayed appointments and short tenures, limiting their scope for influence and seniority. Yes. Next, societal and cultural bias are there. Okay, along with gender discrimination hinder women's entry and progression. Next, female legal professionals often lack access to adequate mentorship, networking, support systems. Okay, so what happens is that litigation, like only people who are into litigation, okay, can be promoted as judges, and litigation is a very I would say cut so difficult field for women to be in. Okay, like we have seen, like Delhi has High Court, Delhi has Supreme Court and many tribunals. So I also have seen many lawyers, many people working in this field. Okay, so because it at times takes very long hours, needs very long hours, and staying back late night in offices, the lawyers, the senior advocates don't prefer female interns, and because if they don't and if the females don't intern with good firms, they would not be able to make a space for themselves in the litigation. Okay, and because they are not able to make field in the litigation, they are not able to stay there long enough to be promoted to lower judiciary and hence in the higher judiciary. So that is a problem. Okay. So next we have the idea of AIJS, All India Judicial Service. So this idea conceived to create a centralized judicial recruitment system for entry level judges across the states, specifically high courts and district judges and lower courts. Okay. Next we have invention by NJAC. NJAC had proposed it. NJAC, the one which was scrapped in 2016. Okay, and several committees including Law Commission, Madras High Court. Okay, modeled loosely on All India Services Framework, IAS, IPS, aiming to create a judicial service recruited by UPSC. Okay, next, recommended by 117 Law Commission report and supported by Madras High Court Expert Committee. Implementation, issue, discussion, judicial reform dialogues. Okay, so as we have the central All India services, there are 3 All India services. Okay, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, Indian Forest Service. So on those lines, there has been repeated recommendation that government can use Article 312 to make one more All India services, which is AIJS. Okay, so what we'll do is that as IAS as a service has district magistrates, okay, AIJS can appoint district judges. Okay, what it will bring is that even now this is happening, but the appointment is not at level of district judges. Okay, they are at lower judicial level. Okay, and district judges are many a times also brought from the bar. Okay, so the idea is that if there is a AIJS in place, there will be a standardization in the appointment process, and this will help in like the reason behind retaining the idea of IAS and IPS after independence was that to have a uniformity in across administrative and police services. So this uniformity should also be in judicial services. That is the logic of AIJS. So what are the benefits? Benefits is uniform standard transparency, as I said. Okay, the matter in which a case is dealt at a lower court level in say West Bengal should not be different from how it is being done in Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra. Okay, so that will promote uniformity and transparency. Next, we have improved judicial quality. Yes, because it will be an all India exam, it will attract best minds, okay, and best legal talent for this one. Next, enhanced mobility and diversity. Okay, it will allow a person to serve in different states, promoting cross jurisdictional experience and reducing parochialism. So what happens currently is that judges of one high court are transferred to other high courts. Okay, but if the judge, say for any judge, has worked all his life in say Orissa, okay, so he will have little idea or context when a case, very specific case comes up and he is transferred in Karnataka High Court. Okay, so this will provide him a good experience. Okay, so this is exactly the logic why we have these kind of all India services like forest services. Okay, in forest services we have the same thing. Okay, next, reduced political influence. Yes, because it will be a standardized process. Next, streamlined career progression. Yes, this is a very big problem in judiciary. The people who are clearing judiciary and being appointed in lower courts don't have a clear line of progression, and they cannot, like in government services, in public service, whichever service you join, ministry, in any position you join, there is a timeline. Okay, like you will become this particular thing in 3 years, then 5 years, 7 years, 15 years. Okay, but for judges in judiciary, there is no career progression. Okay, there are people who are appointed as district judge in lower courts and retired without being a district judge. Okay, and there are people who started in lower judiciary and rose up to the Supreme Court. So this this should not discourage people from joining judiciary. Like one problem of the very fine minds joining judiciary is that there is no progression. If someone is a very good lawyer and in making lakhs per hearing, he has no motivation to join the judiciary because he knows he won't be going anywhere. Okay, like there are people, even I know people who have been offered to be promoted. If they want, they can take the recommendation from High Court and become a district judge, but they are not doing it because it will limit their growth. Okay, someone who is a very good lawyer in a lower court can easily rise through the ranks and be a good lawyer in Supreme Court and High Court and then come to Supreme Court. So there is a progression, there is a growth, but in judiciary your growth is not in your hands. Okay, so this does not motivate finer minds, fine people to who would have made for very good judges to come in judiciary. Okay, what are the issues and challenges? Okay, as argued on the contrary. Okay, constitutional federal concerns. Okay, judiciary are in the concurrent list. Okay, making states protective of autonomy over subordinate judiciary. Yes, the problem is that this particular AIJS will be appointing people in the lower judiciary, and lower judiciary is controlled by high court, that particular high court in collaboration with the state governments. Okay, so they don't want to lose that power. Okay, logistical complexity. Okay, in recruitment, training, posting across 28 states and 8 union territories. Okay, this is one issue, because a person, like in high courts and supreme courts, the hearings are conducted in English, but in lower courts it's done in local language. So if the hearing or even the paperwork applications are done in local language. Okay, so if someone who is trained in Hyderabad and is posted in, say, Bengal, how will he read Bengali application, Bengali PIL? Okay, so that will be a roadblock, definitely. Okay, adaptation to local laws. Yes, judges require familiarity with state specific laws, languages, and okay, this will complicate transfers. Next, resistance from states and judiciary. As I said, this follows our first point. Okay, like the lower courts are managed by lower state governments and high courts together, so they do not want to lose that particular power. Implementation cost. Yes, cost, but it's not a very big issue. Yes, there will be cost, but anyway we are training. All the states separately conduct their judicial examination, recruit and then train. So this is not a very big issue. Okay, strike or slow judicial appointment. Okay, so the thing is, for exam to be conducted every year, the states or the high courts should declare appointments every year, vacancies every year. Okay, but that is not the case. In judiciary, you don't generally have like vacancies in that regular cycles. Okay, so that is an issue. So way ahead, gradual implementation. Yes, pilot AIJS can be done in some states, okay, and judicial districts to see how it is working. Okay, if the judges appointment through this particular exam and the judges are appointed through collegium, if they are doing the same work, and who is doing more effective work, okay, then there can be a comparison. Okay, then we will know if the current system is good or not. Collaborative framework. Yes, central and state government should jointly design AIJS. Like if government wants to do that, it should take into account the objections and issues of the state governments. Okay, so that the federal sensitivities are taken care of. Okay, language and legal training. Yes, it will create some like if someone is transferred from one state to other as a district judge, he will have to learn that language. Okay, so people who only agree to that can be transferred, should be transferred. Leverage technology. Yes, this is a very important thing. Like we cannot be limited and tied down to the issues and concerns which can be easily solved by technology. Okay, like language is not at all an issue now. Okay, because we have all kinds of translation tools available. There are tools which can translate things in real time. Okay, leave alone documents. Okay, so language will not be an issue. Okay, it can be solved. I won't say it's not an issue. It's a very major issue, but it can be solved. We can find a way around it. Like we have people of Tamil Nadu working in Punjab, speaking fluent Punjabi. Okay, so this can be done. Okay, promote judicial reforms. Yes, AIJS is a big block, is a set of reforms which will work together, but it will not solve all the problems of judiciary. Okay, like judicial backlogs and all. So it will need to come with a set of reforms. Okay, it is not a panacea. It will not solve all the problems of judiciary. Okay, next, stakeholder engagement. Yes, for judiciary you need to consult with judiciary, bar association, state governments and civil society for broad consensus building. And if there is a consensus like yes, AIJS, it's an idea whose time has come, then the government can start with this. So AIJS has been a question in mains 2019. Okay, the creation of an all India judicial service is a necessity to address the backlog of cases and delaying justice delivery, examine the challenges and implementation. So try to write the answer to this question. Thank you. That's the end of the discussion of today. we had seen 5 important topics, okay, and you take the screenshot of the critical minerals. It will be very important, okay. You will thank me later, okay. And so follow us for more such videos.